And I am delighted to introduce the friends from Maharana of Mewar Charitable Foundation, Eternal Mewar, the city palace in Udaipur, and invite them to be prepared for their presentation. Of course, before, as usual, I would like to thank very much all the staff of the foundation, from Miss Manyak Gupta, Ansmukh Seth, Mustafa Sagar, Lalit Sankhya, and of course a special thanks to Chelsea Alana Santos, who I'm supposing is ready to start the presentation. So Chelsea, the floor is yours. If you are ready, you can go.
Thank you, Simon. Hi, everybody. It's so glad. I'm so glad to be here. I'm an assistant curator at the City Palace Museum, Udaipur. Today, I'm going to be taking you through my presentation. If you can see the screen, we've titled our exhibition, "The Venice of the East," the city of Udaipur. One, to give it a global perspective, which Udaipur already has, in a sense, as also to draw your attention to the beautiful city of Udaipur, which is also known as the City of Lakes. This exhibition has been conceptualized keeping in mind that we are trying to highlight the visual delights, living traditions, and regional specialities of this region. And I mentioned I'm from the City Palace. What you see here is the City Palace Museum, currently a museum. Part of it, the portion to the left is a museum. To the right, you have a bit of the hotels. Formerly, this was a palace. And through this exhibition, we're trying to streamline the role that the City Palace, as also the Maharana Mewar Charitable Foundation, has in the context of the city, and how it is trying to continue the living traditions and the culture of the region. Today's presentation is all about Udaipur. I locate ourselves, we are in Rajasthan, India. And for me particularly, this presentation is really close to my heart because I, for one, aren't from this region. I am originally from Goa and then Bombay. And this is really an honor to be able to represent this region. The city has had tremendous historical significance. It was founded in the year 1553 by Maharana Uday Singh II, father of the legendary Rajput warrior king. Some of you may know him, Maharana Pratap Singh. When he decided to choose Udaipur, make Udaipur as his capital. Formerly, we had Chittorgarh, which was a capital, very prominent name if you're visiting India. And on the screen, you see the City Palace and the old city, which till date retains a whiff of the yesteryear. And it's very important to think about that important step that Maharana Uday Singh took, and because of which today Udaipur owes its existence. None of this would have been there had he not decided to make that change of capital. Here you see the City Palace, you have the beautiful Lake Pichola, and of course that was a major river linking, lake linking system, that project that the Maharanas, meaning a title of the king, took on during the course of about 450 years. And this was a, you can see it is kind of built on a hill, and it comprised of a, it extended out and included a flat land, and this region was fortified. In time, of course, you see that Udaipur has extended way past these fortifications, but yet it manages to retain its history, its culture, and so much more. If you see, at the far end, you have the Aravalli Ranges. Udaipur is known to be nestled in between the Aravallis, and therefore it was one of the reasons why the Maharana made the decision to change this area, which offered an additional security. There is a popular saying with this region that you'd rather leave wheat, substitute wheat with maize, but you never leave this region. Such is the level of patriotism towards the land. And as is reflected, people have really stayed in this region and have contributed to its growth. And the reason being also, coming to the saying that corn is one, corn or maize is one staple, which is very beneficial, which has supported this region. It is able to, as a crop, it was able to sustain the harsh climates of the region. Rajasthan, the region of Rajasthan, known to be having drastic climatic changes, but yet this crop is capable of sustaining itself, yielding rich produce, and therefore you have this saying, a very beneficial switch, if at all. I come to take you through the old city, little bit into the old city. You have very narrow alleyways that lead you in and almost kind of interconnect at different points. You see so much of it still as it was in the yesteryear. You have this, for example, these are pictures from heritage walks through the city that the Maharana Mewar Charitable Foundation conducts. Here you see people looking and admiring the beautiful archways, the lintels, which bear stone carved work. And here you have a ghat portion that touches the lake. You have rituals taking place. And if you see paintings from our collection, you will see that it's a thing that has continued. You have these waters, the water heritage playing a very important role in the city. The image on the top right, you have a clock tower. Gone are the days where you, needed clock towers, but this definitely does contribute to the heritage and time gone by. And also to mention the Araish work, which is very popular to the region. As you will see through the other visuals, the region is known for a lot of arts and crafts. In one of our posters that we sent across, we asked, whose art is it anyway? Is it the creators, the artists, the craftspersons who are making this? Is it the influencers, a king or a patron? Is it the custodian that has a hold or a say of the art, such as us, the museums, or the several stakeholders who are involved? And we as museums, as museum professionals, we consciously make that effort to tell people that art is for everybody. We have a shared heritage. And through this beautiful festival that the Life Beyond Tourism has put together, I clearly see how we are so, all of us across our cultures are so interconnected. And this is precisely what we have tried to raise through one of our posters in the exhibition. I now come to some of the initiatives by the Trust, the Maharana Mewar Charitable Foundation, and how they try to capture and carry on the living traditions, time-honored traditions of the region. The image to the right is of a performance from the World Living Heritage Festival. It happens every 2 years. And there are several things that happen. You have dance performances, musicals, lectures, workshops, hands-on craftsmen, people coming together. And just as in the past, the palace served as a cultural hub, till this date, it does function and bring together people. Over here on the screen, you see an Ashwa Pujan ceremony, an autumnal festival celebrated on the 9th day of Navratri. Navratri meaning 9 days or nights during the year, which are considered to be sacred. Here you can see Shriji Arvind Singh Mewar and his son Lakshraj Singh Mewar. And you have a beautiful entourage. You have horses, Ashwa meaning horse, and Pujan is worship. At the top, you see the royal insignia, which indicate the presence of a king. Each of this has a separate name and a function and a purpose. And in a way, you can see how a time-honored tradition has been honored and perpetuated across time. This is another angle. If you see, the horse is beautifully ornate and then brought in procession, ceremonially bathed in the morning, anointed, fed, and then worshipped by the Maharana. This being for the reason that the Maharana, who is a Rajput or a warrior, would worship or pay homage to the war animals who have been of great support and help. And this is a tradition that is seen across India, but particularly in Rajasthan, and very strongly followed in Mewar, as you can see. This is another beautiful scene from the Holika Dahan. This right here is the Palace Museum, beautiful facade. In the center, you can see the Holika, or the an effigy of the demon Holika. This is a bit of mythology that's coming in, and belief, being burnt up. You would see, for me particularly, walking down the streets of Udaipur, you would see several effigies of the demon or the Holika being burnt. But at the city palace, it takes on a more grand nature, and it's again a continuation of what usually would happen at the palace. It's another angle, and if you see, look closely at the front, you see people, women, men wearing white and red. The Fagania being a particular type of tie and dye, which is worn particularly by the women. Several people get together, as was previously. And now we come to how do you, as visitors, people visiting Udaipur, how do you make your trip memorable? We have a bit of itineraries that you can look at. Food is one of the things you can indulge in. I begin with highlighting how we have a lot of water resources, thankfully. And to the right, you have the Pichola, where you could go for a boat ride. You have to the left the Fateh Sagar, which right in the scene on the left, you see it being used as a place for ritual, but it is also known for its water sports, very commercialized at the moment. But there is always a mix of ritual as also modern day engagement, and for the tourists especially. And I remember engaging in dialogue with locals from here, and they remember times in their childhood when they've taken a dip, gone for a swim, jumped into the lakes. And this is a memory, I think, stays on forever. I come to some of the delicacies that you can engage in. We've tried not to pick out the very usual things that you may have heard of, like the dal bati churma, but we have the Kher Sangri, which is very important specialty in Rajasthan as also in Udaipur. It is a preparation made out of Kher and Sangri, which are obtained from, it's a plant-based pods and beans that are put together. It could be pickled, it could be a vegetarian preparation. This right here is the image. The tree has ritual as also is put to all kinds of uses, really, because it is able to, again, sustain the people across the climatic conditions. Lal mas is a non-vegetarian specialty. It's mutton cooked in fiery red hot gravy, but really sometimes it's quite bearable. But the red does look like it's very hot. Lapsi is a dish, a sweet dish that is made from broken wheat, cooked down with clarified butter or ghee, jaggery, sweetened with jaggery, and garnished with choicest nuts of your taste. Again, coming down to some of the heritage places that you can visit, there are several museums, City Palace being one of them. Of course, there are several others that you can look at. Ahad is one region that has, it was formerly a Bronze Age site, and currently it has medieval Rajput burial architecture called cenotaphs, one of its kind. It also has several Jain and the Hindu temples. The Jagdish temple is another example, which is in close proximity to the City Palace in case you're visiting. It was built in the 1600s and is dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. Another thing that you can do is simply soothe in silver. Rajasthan, Mewar is known for this metal silver, which is so abundantly available and quite reasonable in cost. And for tourists particularly, this is something that they can indulge in. You could also visit an arts and crafts bazaar. The visuals that I will show is from the City Palace, of course, and there are several others that you can visit when in Udaipur, such as the Shilpgram or local markets that are in close proximity. I'd like to point out that much of what was formerly a part of the arts and crafts of Udaipur is now on the verge of decline. I've highlighted 5 of those. And some of which were showcased at the World Living Heritage Festival. To the top left, you have Siklikar, who is also involved in our metal conservation. So a mix of traditional as also modern conservation at the museum. It's metal work. Over here, you have wooden works such as carved and puppets. The top right, you have lac bangles. Over here, you have soapstone figures. And at the bottom, you have block printing. So what you can do as tourists, and what I like to encourage you to do, is to patronize. Whenever you visit these places, or if you make a purchase, you are contributing and helping institutions that support this effort. I'd like to give a big shout out to our team. Dr. Hasmukh Seth is here with us today. If he'd like to say a hi.
Hello.
And
hello.
And I'd also like to thank Kezar, Prashant, and Lam Mathur for their contributions. And of course, I'd like to extend a warm thank you to Shriji Arvind Singh Mewar, Simon from LBT, Mr. Bhupendra Singh Awa, Dr. Mayank Gupta, Dr. Shikha Jain of Drona Foundation, and several others who have helped make this possible from the museum. Big thank you. And to others, do visit us. I hope you had a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Chelsea, for such a colorful presentations of the City Palace Museum and of Udaipur.